Hi.
Write a few things down.
Oops.
Oh,
Okay.
you already prepared.
Notations.
Oh my god, let me see this.
It's not good. It's just kind of like based on my interpretations.
Are we already live?
Yes, we are.
Oh, great.
We go live early, girl.
Well, I mean, it looks like we're getting ready to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
We got
Yeah,
the
'cause I
light
gotta
check
do it.
on live too.
I got a show to do at 7 o'clock. I do the Quiet Storm on Magic from 7 to midnight. So I got another show to do.
Anybody got time? Okay. Go prepare the lady.
Ishmael, what's your last name again, sir?
Barnett.
Sorry, I gotta bring my teacher bag.
Come on, come with
All
it.
over the place.
I need you prepared.
So no Courtney.
No, Courtney didn't come. Antonio couldn't make it. She had to do black
But
something.
they ain't know where else to go.
lawsuits.
Who's James trying to do?
Here we go. Oh, I need to set,
Oh, you trying to get?
set the timer.
Yeah.
So we
Oh,
don't
now
go
you're
over.
gonna be in the camera.
We only got
Oh,
20.
man.
What we got? We got 24 minutes. Let me set this. 25 minutes, right?
Okay. I was really hoping Antonio was gonna make it because I know Antonio had like a lot to say about it. You know.
Where you at?
He says that I think his radio show is tomorrow, so he's doing something.
tell him I said
he
congrats
said he
on
had
that.
another
Oh yeah,
engagement.
his radio show's every Friday, right? CBBA.
What, man?
Go ahead and get the plug.
We
Get the plug in.
can't be doing that at other people's radio shows. He gonna kick us out. He's not gonna invite us back no more, right?
My bad. Never mind.
So
Forget I
it's
said
one
that.
love.
In that
Here we
case, 102.5 Shambler on the air on Sundays, 1 to 3.
go. Oh, 2.5. They don't even have that many watts. But here we go. Good Sunday morning and welcome back to Access Houston, to our roundtable segment of Access Houston. Welcoming back from the Houston Millennials, Joshua Bergman, James Barnett, and Samantha Jones. Welcome back, guys. And also TSU activists, Caleb Taylor and Ishmael Barnett. Welcome to Access Houston. So, let's talk about the RNC going down this week. Just a very entertaining convention. It seems as though, I don't know what's going on with the Republican Party. I just saw a bunch of angry white people, to be honest. Crazy, angry,
Screaming.
folks. Really? Yeah, literally. Thoughts.
They say you call it angry, they call it passionate. They're very passionate about their beliefs, and they're passionate about Donald Trump being the next president of these United States.
Which is very possible. That could very well happen.
Everybody except
Oh.
for Ted Cruz.
You know what? I respect Ted
You
Cruz
hear-
for what he did. He stuck to his guns.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? The problem that I kind of have with that is like you can't pick and choose when you're offended when he makes fun of somebody. I mean, like it's okay when he does everybody else, but when he gets to your wife and your daddy, then it's an issue. But everybody else is fair game, you know. So it was like,
I respect him for that too, though, and I think that's a good thing as Democrats for us to be able to agree with him on something, because everything that Ted Cruz says is so like polar opposite of what Democrats says, but that shows like some unity between Democrats and Republicans. The one thing that we can agree on with Ted Cruz is that Donald Trump is not the right man.
I can't really entirely say that I completely agree with him simply because he didn't go up there and say, I'm not endorsing Donald
Right.
Trump. He just refused to say his name in the speech. And to me, I mean, of course, he made a very bold move, but that still wasn't him going, okay, I'm going to have my own authority or my own decision on this. Of course, I did definitely agree with him saying, go with your conscience. Go with what you think is best. Let's not just get up here and make this about Donald Trump. This is about much more than that. And I think he spoke to such big issues that were important. And that
such
was
as
cool to me.
maybe I was because I was really good at the
Such as,
show. Like I
to
was
me-
punching in and out.
Again, I'm biased, but I appreciate him actually bringing up Black Lives Matter, Alton Sterling, those things. Of course, he didn't say Black Lives Matter, but he was the first person that I saw so far that went up there and said, yes, Blue Lives Matter, but let's not forget that there are still things happening on our soil that are not right, and these people need to stand accountable for the things that they've done.
Okay.
And so that is one of the things that I can say I felt really good about Ted Cruz doing. But again, him just not saying Donald Trump's name is not him saying I'm not endorsing him. It's just him not saying his name.
Right.
So
Yeah, he he seems like a very nice guy. I mean, his campaign was actually in this building on the 7th floor, and I ran into him one time on the elevator, taller than what I expected, and he seemed nice, you know, but I don't know the man.
Did he say hello? When you-
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's running a campaign, and they're always
He
going to
gonna
say
say
hello.
hello.
They always want to sound
They're
nice.
gonna be nice
you know?
when it's time to vote, but after it's over, then you see who they really are.
I mean, I met Senator Cruz outside of the campaign season. He is a nice guy, in my opinion. Ted Cruz, the man, nice guy. Ted Cruz, the politician, something totally different. But the man on the street, very nice guy.
Yeah. Also at the RNC, Donald Trump's wife, Melania Trump. And so it came out, you know, about 2 paragraphs were taken from First Lady Michelle Obama's 2008 DNC speech, and all I could think to myself was, "Wow, the internet is exposing the system."
Well, when I saw that, I had to be honest. I put a tweet out, and I was like, I feel like Ashton Kutcher's putting on the biggest episode
Right.
of Punk that this nation has ever seen, because
Right.
it's hard to believe that this is on accident. Like, it's hard to believe that they would allow something like that to happen. I'm at a loss for words to describe what's going on with the Republican Party.
I'm honestly not going to blame her for that. That's a staff problem. Somebody on that staff should have caught that.
But she said on the Today Show, she told Matt Lauer that she wrote it herself with a little bit of help.
So
But she said that she wrote it herself. And then instead of her coming out and saying something, they got somebody else to take the fall.
she probably copied it herself, wrote it out off somebody off of Michelle's speech. She probably wrote it herself, but that was when I saw that. I thought about school. You know, when you
Automatic
plagiarize,
F.
you automatically get an F and you get suspended. So she should be suspended. No more talking. No more talking for her. Like,
And I also thought it's like the history of America when it comes to black culture. I mean, here we
Yes.
have her,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
yeah.
swagger jacking the first lady, something that America has done, you know,
I'm
for
trying to
years.
figure- Who caught it? Because I
Black
watched
Twitter.
Michelle Obama's 2008 speech, and then I didn't catch it. It didn't slip my mind. So I'm trying to figure out who caught it.
Probably the same people that were making memes because they were on that quick.
Black
I was
Twitter.
just like,
Shout out to
wow.
Black Twitter.
Black Twitter.
Yeah.
Black Twitter.
Actually, it was a young man by the name of Jared Hill.
Jared Hill, you are the
he
real-
uncovered the similarities.
realist.
He said that he was watching the speech in Starbucks in Los Angeles when the "Strength of Our Dream" statement came from Mrs. Trump's speech, and he thought that it rang familiar, and so he investigated everything that we now know.
yeah.
So
Let's go back-
shout out to Jared Hill.
Yeah, and like you said, I didn't think about it like that, but like you said, just shows the history of America. How she just took her speech like that, and it's amazing how everybody want to be black until it's time to be black.
Well,
True, true.
So for her to do that is like wow.
there were another political voter news that came down. Texas has the toughest voter ID laws in the country, and the Fifth Circuit said that they knocked it down.
That's a surprise
They
to me.
knocked it down, and this is one of the most
Conservative circuits in the nation.
Yes. So they found that it was discriminatory towards black and brown people, the poor, the elderly, college students.
Absolutely.
And
That's good because it is.
I'm kind of waiting to hear the Republican response of how they're going to play this
Well,
off.
let Twitter tell it. The tweet talking, the senators are talking, and they were, on the right, they were saying, oh, you need ID to, drive a car, to buy cigarettes, to buy liquor, and all of this laundry list of things that you need identification for. And they said, why shouldn't voting be on there? And I'm like, that is the most ridiculous argument that I have heard.
My discrepancy with the law is, in the state of Texas, you can vote by showing your concealed handgun license, but you can't show us college ID. They won't accept a college ID, but if you show your gun license, vote this way. And it makes no sense to me.
I don't get it.
It just shows how corrupt, our nation really is. You
Well-
know, it just shows that can, you know, my gun license, you know, I can give that, but show you that I'm a college student and I have a reasonable, you know, thinking ability, you know, that don't add up, but that's not enough.
Well, I actually think it makes sense, and it's you know, it's indicative of the way like this country has always tried to restrict black and brown people from voting. You know, if you're an immigrant, you can get a student ID, but you can't get a concealed handgun license, right? You know, or things like that. So it's a way to keep, you know, to hold people down, and it makes sense. I mean, it's a good argument because it's the one that they've had for centuries, you know. So it's
I think in addition to that, we also have like the privatized prison system here. I mean everywhere, but here in Texas especially, where we're constantly locking up people. If you have a felony, that means that you no longer can vote. Things of that nature, and it's something that gets talked about. I probably talk about this too much, but Michelle Alexander's New Jim Crow, where she says that if you are locked up, then you lose so many different rights. Of course, the right to vote, and so to just add on a voter ID, it was like, okay, great. You know, we get the system that we want. If you don't have your ID, you can't vote. If you've been locked up, you can't vote. That knocks out black and brown people, and so. I mean, that just happens to be the unfortunate reality of living here. I'm glad that we're looking to change and reform these things. Absolutely.
But this week, the mayor like suggested making IDs for the city of Houston, right?
I saw that. Yeah.
Is that bad?
I'm
or
not
good?
sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that either.
You got to read up on the
I gotta
issue.
read up on that. Caleb, you were gonna...
Oh, I was just gonna say, it kind of just adds to the gravity of this year's election with the Supreme Court, because we saw that Texas passed that voter ID law after the Supreme Court gutted one of the major portions of the Voter Rights Act, and so it's so important that people get out and vote this year, especially this year, this presidential year, because that appointment to the Supreme Court makes so much difference in the laws that are crafted in this country.
Not only that one, the next president's probably going to have the next 4 Supreme Court so the next president probably have the next 4 Supreme Court justices. You look at the justices on the court, most of them are in their early 80s and are near retirement or God forbid death.
Right.
So the next president, like this election is vital to that because we can have control of the court if we win this election.
That's a great point, though, because people often overlook the Supreme Court, and in the U.S., you know, they make or break laws sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones who, because of the Supreme Court, this Supreme Court, gay marriage is legal. And, you know, they've done things with abortion and other things like that. So, you know, the Supreme Court is not something that should be overlooked. And he brought up a good point about, you know, making sure that we have the right president to make sure that the next, you know, few justices that we have on the court are people that will, you know, for us, think reasonably when they make these decisions.
I feel like it's not just the president, but it's the local officials as well. You know,
Oh, yeah.
like if you get the right people in the local area, you know, like your legislators and your mayors and governors and things like that. I feel like that is just as important, you know, because we see right now with President Obama. You know, President Obama had a lot of things that he wanted to do that could have helped us, but you know, a lot of our local officials, you
And
know,
the people
was
in
against it.
Congress,
and the
yeah.
people that are in Congress, you know, was totally against it. So I feel that when we do when we go out and vote, I feel like we should be educated on voting as a whole, because a lot of us don't know who to vote for, what to vote for, and what these people do. So I feel like that is.
Well, if it isn't abundantly clear with this election, I don't know how much clearer
Yeah,
it can get. I mean, in a sense, it kind of is, you know, the lesser of two evils. You know, to be honest, I mean, you know, Hillary's a bit too hawkish for me, and she is the establishment. Why everybody is so, you know, riled up. I mean, she's the queen of it.
Yeah.
So.
I think a part of what Hillary Clinton is, I think a lot of people were gun-ho Hillary at the end of the 2012 election.
Yeah.
And I think as we slowly got towards 2016, we started rethinking that option, and we realized we didn't build a lot of candidates.
We had another option.
Yeah. We have Bernie.
Bernie came out of nowhere. Nobody suspected Bernie. Honestly, when Bernie announced he was polling at 2%, I thought Martin O'Malley would have been the guy to challenge Hillary Clinton. But then Bernie came out, he appealed to the youth, he got the millennial voters, and then Martin O'Malley got stuck between a rock and a hard place because you can't go left of Bernie Sanders because you're kind of just un-American, and you can't go right of Hillary Clinton because then you're Republican and you're seeking a Democratic nomination. So we were left with, it was just Hillary.
Yeah.
So Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just a little conflicted. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Hillary in person, and I was more concerned with the fact that she was such a talking head, and I wanted to see her be genuine. I wanted to see her talk to the American people in a way of, hey, these are real reforms that I want to make. These are real things that I'm concerned about, rather than I have to win this nomination. I have to be that person. It just... And so that was kind of more so my concern when it came to Hillary, for the most part.
She's not up.
And you know, something else with Hillary is when she started out, you know, we got this one facade, a picture of her, and now it's like, dang, is this the same Hillary? Like, it was a lot of folk who really was on her bandwagon that's now like, you know, I don't know now, you know, and with Donald Trump, he just was him from the beginning all the way to the end.
Well, Donald Trump is what the Republican Party has let happen for the last 8 years with its rhetoric and its, you know, bigotry, and they never spoke out. Nobody ever came out, spoke out against it, and now everything that you let slide by and, you know, just let go has showed up in physical form, and now he is your party's nominee to be the next president. We don't have that much time. I want to get on these last two before we go, if we can, hopefully. Another day, another person shot by the cops. Another black man, unarmed, shot by the cops. Have you heard about this story in North Miami? Charles Kingsley, who is a therapist at a group home, was trying to, you know, get a child from the home who has autism. The kid had a toy truck. They thought he had a gun, I guess, from the 911 call. This man is laying on his back with his arms in the air.
Oh my God, that was one of the most disappointing stories.
You know, explaining to the officers what is going on, and he still gets shot in the leg.
And the response that he said,
he said, I don't know.
There's three things that I'm tired of hearing in response to these issues. I'm tired of politicians telling us to vote as an only option. I'm tired of pastors telling us to pray as the only option, and I'm tired of people proposing more seminars and more trainings on teaching black men how not to piss the cops off or how not to get shot by the police. We've seen time and time again of people that have been compliant, and people that have been unarmed, and they still get murdered or still get shot by the police. And so I feel like we're spending too much time trying to help the victims not piss off their oppressor. And so I feel like it's time that we really talk about, especially during this election season, real policy changes on holding the police accountable.
Absolutely.
To me, the most shocking thing about this video is that they shot the dude that they didn't think had the gun. Like, the person that they thought had the gun was the person that they did not shoot. Like, I don't get that. My only question is,
that's crazy.
WTF?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
And I also heard, you know, the tweets were talking that there was already a settlement that the police department in North Miami already has settled with the man. It's only been 4 days.
And you know the sad thing
That's
about
crazy.
that though is with these settlements, it's the taxpayers' dollars
Mm-hmm.
that are paying it. It's not the police officers themselves.
Right.
It's the taxpayers' dollars that have to pay for this, for these lawsuits and for these settlements. And so it's still not a real form of holding police accountable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I wouldn't even take a settlement, like, you know.
Right.
I feel like that's not right. I feel like, you know.
I'm going to have a list of demands.
Yeah,
that I want.
yeah.
And being him
Yeah.
being gone
Yes.
first.
I want his back
I-
personally handed to me.
Yeah.
I was really concerned when I saw the video for all of those reasons, of course, but to kind of bring it back to the the Republican National Convention. I don't know if you guys saw Daryl Glenn. He was one of the guys that got up there.
Yeah.
And he's a black guy. And he
Yeah,
goes,
I've seen
well, all
that.
of this violence is happening because there aren't any fathers in the household. And I'm like, what? Wait,
Wow.
wait, what?
Well, he's another,
And
you know.
the thing is that you see these videos where they're taking the fathers out of the household. They're going in and through police brutality, they're killing these fathers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, how do you keep these fathers in the household if that's what you're saying it is? And also, you know, Dylan Roof, he had his mom and his dad in the household, and he was still a mass murder. So how? Like, it's so confusing. Of course, it was really shocking to see him actually go in and shoot this man while he's waving around his hands and saying, oh my God. But at the same time, I'm really excited that the man lived to actually tell his side of the story, because that's not something that we get to see often.
Yes.
And so the climate of police brutality right now is just so disrespectful.
Yes, and
It's
I
so
feel like
disrespectful.
it saddens to see, you know, the things like like with the Alvin Brazil case, you know, with this gentleman who was gunned down, and it's like they would try to throw up anything to try to make us, you know, forget that you're wrong. Like I was hearing today that the mayor kept saying, "Oh, he had a gun." I just want to let y'all know that somebody said he didn't have a gun, so he have a gun. You know, like
10
you shot
shots
him-
is upset. Is
10
upsetting.
shots. Like you thought he was gonna
That's
wake up.
excessive.
Like
That's 5 each.
Yeah.
and It's just
that's
upsetting.
sad, you know, and I feel like that's wrong. What's going on in
You don't
Miami?
even shoot an animal.
Yeah,
10
you don't even
times.
shoot. You don't even shoot an animal 10 times. Like, and I heard someone say something. I was reading on my Facebook, and I saw this post, and I think it was D.L. Hughley. It was either D.L. Hughley or Dave Chappelle, one of them, and they were saying, you know, black people are endangered species, and he was like, no, we're not endangered species. He said because the endangered species is protected by the law. He was like, we ain't protected by the law. We just getting hunted down, you know. And that's sad that the world that we live in, and I know you said about prayer, but I feel like, you know, prayer is should be one of the key things, you know, one of the main things, but it's not just praying, it's what are we going to do after that prayer, you know, like if you're going to pray, what's the next step, you know?
Well, I have to say that, you know, it makes my heart warm to hear about the almost, I mean, I think he said about 12,000 new accounts that have been opened at Unity Bank.
Yeah,
that was Third Ward, you
That's
know.
great.
Very good.
The Houston rappers all rallying up together and going down there and, you know, putting some of their money in the banks. Like, and this is going, you know, nationwide. So
Yes.
I really am hopeful for this new movement that is going on of this, you know, self-awareness.
Yes.
Because it's, I don't know what took us so long to finally wake up. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it took, well,
Yeah, yeah.
hell, it
Sad,
took all of this
To happen, yeah.
to you know wake us up. There's some that are still asleep, but you know it's our jobs to wake them up. And I think having dialogue like this helps with the movement.
We saw a lot of sleep ones at the Republican National Convention.
Yes.
You know, I really hope that people actually keep up with this bank. This is minor, but again, I hope they keep up with this bank account and don't just use it as, okay, this is my symbolic thing to show you that I care, and then move back and go back to where they were before this. Like, this should be a movement that sticks. And I agree
Yeah.
with Caleb over here when he's talking about respectability politics, teaching our boys or teaching our kids how to act or how to, I guess, manage themselves in front of a certain person is not going to change the climate.
Exactly.
So definitely agree on that point.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming through. That is our time for the Access Houston Roundtable. Mr. Caleb Taylor, TSU activist, Ishmael Barnett, and of course the Houston Millennials, Joshua Bergman, James Barnett, and the lovely Samantha Jones. Joseph. Thank you, Samantha Joseph. I'm Samantha Jones. I'm thinking of Sex in the City. I don't know. Maybe I'm showing my age by mentioning that show.
I've never seen that show in my life, but that's okay.
Hey, it's a great show. It was an educational tool for me when it came to women. But that's a whole other thing. No, y'all laugh. I'm dead ass. No, but thank you all so much for coming through. And thank you for listening to Access Houston.